Welcome back to BoxBox F1 Fantasy. Today we have a special guest, Euan from F1 Fantasy Pole Position. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. We've been talking all off season. I'm ready to let's see what we got.
Awesome stuff. So, if you're new to F1 Fantasy or if you've been a veteran, you've probably seen Euan around. But in case you haven't, Euan, could you just tell us a little bit about who you are? What's your background with F1 Fantasy? Yeah, feel free.
Yeah, of course. I've been doing content for a few years now. So yeah, F1 Fantasy Pole Position. You can find me on pretty much every social media there is at F1 Fantasy Ewan because F1 Fantasy Pole Position does not fit into any social media handles, so that's fine. But yeah, I have dabbled in content for a few years now. The last 3 years has been like serious stuff, and yeah, channel is blowing up just like yours. The community is amazing, so supportive. I swear it's the best fantasy sports community out there. There are no trolls, no toxicity. We're all just kind of getting along and praying we don't have any DNFs. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, just doing this all the time. Been doing a ton of preseason content and ready to get into the season that starts so soon.
I can't wait. Like I've been dying for the season to start. There's like so much to look forward to. New regs, not the DNFs. I'm not looking forward to that, but we can cry together when we do get hit by them. Now, you said the first season you played was 2022. How did that first season go for you, and the subsequent years as well?
It was going really well. I had beginner's luck. I was flying. I thought I was going to be on for like a top 1,000 finish in my first season. I was like, this game is easy. And then, just like always happens, the pain came. Late season DNFs. I tried to claw back the top 1,000 ranking by going against Verstappen, which I will never make that mistake again. So beginner's luck turned into beginner's terrible decision making, and yeah, I think I crashed all the way outside like the top 6 or 7K. It was a disastrous end to the season, but I came back in 2023, 2024, 25, 26, and it's been fantastic. Yeah, so lots of highs and lots of lows.
Awesome. Yeah, you mentioned going against Verstappen. That's like the one reason I have one team with him as the two times driver, just because, as they keep saying, you can never count out Verstappen. So I think you started playing fantasy like a year before. I think we started playing the same year. Like my first year went much more terribly than yours. Do you remember the Hackerman scandal? Do you remember
Yes. Like, oh, that's one of the things I'm glad is not in F1 Fantasy anymore. The daily upkeep of prices. Like, I also play Fantasy Premier League, and that's just a little bit stressful. Like, every day you got to check, oh, is my striker going to lose 0.1? And we were doing that in F1 Fantasy, and I was like, what is happening? And then finally I got in this Reddit thread and they explained the Hackerman scandal, and I was like, what? So eventually the game actually fixed it, which was
Thank
interesting.
goodness.
They just put a rule in halfway through the year, and they were like, there's just this like linear growth to catch up to the price or whatever. And it was just like, okay, this is fine. But yeah, that
That
was such
was
a wild
crazy.
season.
Like, I'm glad that kind of like the new pricing algorithm is nice, but but much better than the previous like
Yes.
hackable bot
Oh,
account price
crazy.
cheating. But that was stressful. I could, like each morning, first thing, wake up, check the price. First one, check the price.
Oh.
Yeah. How would you describe your approach to this season, given your previous success? I think last year you finished top 1.5K, if I'm not mistaken. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So last year I finished 1485. The year before that I was 991. And like you were talking about
Ooh.
earlier, I would have finished in the top 1K last season if I had not gone against Verstappen. I did not learn my lesson. But generally I am a little bit of a steady Eddie manager. Like, I trust the process. I know that I can't control these outcomes. All I can do is make good decisions. And something I always preach on my channel, people probably get sick of me saying it in my live streams all the time, is like, make a decision that you can be happy with when your head hits the pillow on Sunday night and you're like, hey, it didn't work out, but at least I made the right decision. Because there is nothing more frustrating in fantasy sports then if you make a decision you don't believe in and it goes badly, that will sit in your brain for weeks on end. And I
I
can't
should
stand it,
not have
so
gone
I really
against my
try to
gut.
not do that. Yes. So
Yeah.
if there's like a budget decision, but I think there's going to be a point scoring upside, like I will go with the points. And if it, as long as I can go to sleep happy that I made the right decision, at least according to myself, that's okay for me.
Nah, that's yeah, that's key. Like I always say, look at the data, but trust your gut. Sometimes like the data will look good, but you're just like, I don't think so. Like, and that's kind of what I'm feeling with this first race. Like I see a lot of people going for budget gain, but like I'm like leaning towards a bit more points based. I don't know why. I might still change my mind, but
Yeah, I think it's everything we're doing right now. I mean, we're, what are we, like 48 hours out or something like that, is
so
all
close.
hypothetical. So, yes, the budget building team, I have it. I have that team you're talking about as my like kind of template team. Like that looks fantastic. If everything goes according to plan, I'll be
On paper.
flying. But it won't because it's F1 fantasy. And as soon as Mercedes and McLaren or Mercedes and Red Bull go one, two, three, four in FP2 and
Take off
Ferrari's
those
five and six,
sandbags.
we're all gonna be freaking out. Like, so
Oof.
I'm ready for DEFCON 1 to hit on Friday morning when we
DEFCON
see
1.
those free practice
Oof.
results.
Yeah, and I'm just happy that I'm in a time zone where I can realistically wake up, look at FP3 as well, and then have a bit of time to make it a deadline decision because FP1, FP2 is going to be chaos, but I think FP3 we're going to nail down, like actually see, okay, everybody took their sandbags off, where are we at now? So, yeah, that's the exciting thing for me this season is just how big of a toss-up this could be. New regulations, blowing up engines. What are you most excited about this year?
What am I most excited about? I think, like I said, I think like what you said, the new regulations, they could throw everything up in the air. Like we think Mercedes is gonna be flying out the gates, but Ferrari has already shown like these supercharged starts that they have. Like if overtaking is tough and Charles Leclerc beats George Russell to turn one, like
Oh, the
is that just
scenes.
like that seems great. Albert Park, like the Australian Grand Prix over the last 4 seasons, tied for 22nd out of 24 tracks with the lowest amount of overtakes. So that's not great either. Haas could be jumping up all the way to the top of the midfield. Alpine were last season, and now they could be the fifth best team on the grid. So the new
Crazy.
regs, they're going to cause unpredictability. They're going to cause pain as well. There's going to be a couple of engines that go boom at very untimely manners, like over the course of the first few weeks, which is slightly influencing my chip strategy a tiny bit, which is interesting to hear. But I think just F1 in general is going to be exciting for F1 fantasy. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
It's going to be much more interesting to watch. Like last year was almost kind of like a clear cut. Okay, McLaren's at the top. Who's going to be second and third, kind of thing. Like with this, it's going to be back to when Red Bull came into the new rig. I think it was 2022 when the new regs hit as well. There was a
Yes.
big change, and like I think it was the second to last lap. Perez's car just died on the corner there, and it was like, what is happening? And I think we're going to see a lot more of that.
Yeah, and Verstappen like DNF two of the first three races, and it was
Yeah,
like, what is happening? And then like Ferrari was
that was a
flying, and then it all changed, and then Verstappen ran away with it.
yeah. I just want to see that like Verstappen, Leclerc racing against each other, like hard, good racing. I really
Bahrain
hope
2022 is such an underrated race where they were playing DRS cat and mouse. That was so much fun.
to this day that still stands out to one of my favorite races to watch. Like I had my whole family like lining up on the sofa around the computer watching this, and it was just fantastic. Yeah, so I hope with this energy management system we don't get too disappointed with a lack of overtakes. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to say the least.
Yes.
So you're not betting against Verstappen, but who do you think people are trusting too much? Who do you think managers are misreading a little bit?
So it's interesting because I have him in my team, but Esteban Ocon, he gives me a little bit of the heebie-jeebies. I'm just like triple Haas.
Ooh.
Like I asked it today on X, like is a triple up necessary kind of thing? And it's tough because I think it's going to be one of the Haas drivers that burns us. And Ollie Behrman, I don't think it's a hot take to say everyone thinks he's more talented than Esteban Ocon already. He's like kind of on like that rocket ship trajectory to Ferrari.
He just
However,
gives those vibes.
yeah, he seems very calm, cool, collected. But so Esteban Ocon, when I answered this question earlier, I was like, Esteban Ocon gives me the bad vibes. But I was actually kind of thinking about it earlier today. He only made Q3 three times in 2025. However, if Haas has that Ferrari power unit and they can get off the line super fast, someone that qualifies low that can get overtakes, that is F1 fantasy gold dust. So while my answer is I think we're misreading Esteban Ocon because he may have too high of an like ownership, I still think he could be very good at F1 fantasy, but for me, he is the weak link in that Haas triple up, and that's why I have some alterations in my lineups where like I either go down from Colapinto to Bottas or even Ocon to Bottas, and it can kind of elevate me up from a Kimi Antonelli into a Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri kind of reach as well.
Any chance you going for a Piastri lineup for potential driver of the day, or you want to see that McLaren practicing first?
I do want to see the McLaren practice first. There is the Aussie curse at Albert Park as well, which has not been kind to Oscar. I believe he's got a P8 and a P9 in his bag. So that's not super great, but it is worth a differential shout. Like if McLaren is in the mix and I kind of look at the picked percentage or whatever, and like Leclerc and Antonelli are just clearly ahead of everyone, that is one of my fatal flaws in fantasy. I love a good differential. I love kind of chasing like a low ownership kind of thing. And I'm just like, to my detriment. And I'm like, I could just play it safe and go Leclerc and Antonelli.
But we want to go for the cryptocurrency bets.
I know. Yeah, just like that golden carrot. And I'm just like, so I'll do my best at 3 a.m. in the morning on Saturday to try and not fall into that trap. But that's future Euan's problem. So I don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah, he can rest with that weight of responsibility on his shoulders then. And on a similar tangent to what you just said, I think Alpine might be a good differential play. I think they're a little bit overpriced, but depending on how they're going to practice, there is a lineup I have like stored in the back of my pocket just in case they look fast. It's kind of like an awkward budget position, but there is a lineup I would kind of be happy to put into my risky team. Like I'm splitting my strategy. T1 is safe, T2 is kind of risky, and T3 is like, yeah, you know, what happens, whatever.
What happens, happens.
What happens. Are you also playing 3 teams, trying to split the strategy, or are you just focusing on one main point scoring, go for gold team?
I think T1 is every F1 fantasy manager's baby. They always want that team to do the best, but you know, I'll especially now that you can win global prizes with any of your 3 teams. That's a big change in the game this year. So like usually that would be why people would be so invested in their T1 squad, because it's like that could be the team that gets me grandstand tickets or something like that if you were lucky enough to win F1 fantasy. But now that all 3 teams are eligible for all the prizes, that's pretty interesting. So I like usually T2 to T3 I kind of go like a gut team and a data team. I'm just like, okay, that's nice and quick. Let's focus on T1.
Yeah,
but I will probably take it a little bit more seriously with T2 and T3 this year because those prizes are up for grabs.
I mean, like, I would love to get a grandstand VIP pass. That would be awesome. And I really hope they do bring Formula One back to South Africa. Like, that would be ideal for me. That's a nice, the Kyalami track. So, there were some rumors last year flying around, but I haven't seen anything concrete again. But fingers crossed we can get that back on the calendar. How aggressive are you going to be? So you said you might pay a bit more attention to the other teams. Are you going more point scoring with Team 1 now? We've slightly touched on it earlier on.
Yeah. Right now, my T1 team is that very popular Leclerc, Antonelli, Triple Haas, Colapinto, Ferrari, and Haas constructor team. And I do, I mean, that team has a lot of upside. It's very heavy on Ferrari, and I say it quite often, but Ferrari is always going to find a way to Ferrari. So that's always like risky. That gives me a little
Add
bit of
that to
the
the
ick
words of
for
wisdom.
Ferrari, but it is, it's tough. I think I am really just open to any lineup. I think it's kind of funny. Like you've been making so much content, all the other content creators have been making so much content, and then I'll have someone ask me, "What's your team like?" And I'm like, I honestly don't know. Like
Like
I
almost like
set my
imposter
team.
syndrome.
Yeah, I see everyone's like, I've got like these 17 different drafts, and I'm like, that's Ewan's Friday problem. Like figure out his team because once we get some concrete data, it'll be good. But I usually do play quite cautiously. I like to kind of stay ahead with the pack. For me, you can't lose F1 or you can't win F1 fantasy in the first race, but you can certainly put a big dent in your season. Last year, Australia, I had 52 points. I was outside the top 1 million
Yikes.
after the first race. I managed to claw it all the way back. Obviously, top 1500, very proud of that.
That is an
But part of me
achievement to be
is
proud of.
also wondering, like, oh, what if I just had an okay weekend in Australia? You know what I mean? But
Like 20 points more makes such a big jump in rank. It's like,
yeah,
uh,
but I mean, because of that terrible decision or because of that terrible outcome in Australia, I avoided Ferrari in China, and we all know what happened there. I avoided the negative 60 or whatever it is for the double DSQ. So sometimes it all makes it back. It's just it's weird, but yeah, I would like to get a good Australian Grand Prix under my belt. Yes.
yeah, yeah. Let's get through without a DNF. So, yeah, don't like you said. Please
It
don't
is
put
supposed to be dry, so that's good.
that is right. I started looking at the weather like a few days ago, like even outside of the accuracy window. But like that's life as a F1 fantasy manager. We look at the data, hope for good luck. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Great, great, great saying. I may have to steal that.
And yeah, same thing happened to me. Similar. Team one took a big nosedive. Like team two and T3, which I was just like, yeah, I think this guy looks good. They were ahead most of the season until about the summer break, and only then did my rank recover. I think I finished. 2024 was a much better year for me in fantasy. I think I ended up in the top 2k or 3k. But last year I think it was 4,400 exactly. Yeah, 4,400. So
With the player base growing, I think it's always kind of you gotta adjust your barometer. And I think top 5K, top 10K is still a great finish in F1 fantasy.
absolutely. I think last year how many players did we have? I think it was like 2.6 million total players last
Yeah, I think
year.
it maybe crept over 2.7 right at the end there.
Is it? Okay. Yeah, all those little mini leagues coming in at the end, I think it
Yes, they
brought in a
they
few
help a
more
lot.
people.
Yes.
Now I can't use like one of my teams for the mini leagues, but yeah, it is what
Oh
it
yeah,
is.
that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, like before I had like my burner team, or like my team three was just like my trash team, and then when there was, I forgot which race it was. I'm like, okay, let's play limitless on this team for this mini league, and yeah. But this year, no. Now, who would you say is underrated? We've said Esteban Ocon is a bit overrated, but who is flying under the radar?
I think this has been a blind spot for me, and I've been listening to like a lot of podcasts and stuff like that this week. But people seem pretty high on Audi, and I don't think I've really entertained Gabriel Borletto in a lot of my teams. And he showed us flashes in his rookie season that he has what it takes to be a great F1
He was
fantasy
good.
asset. Yeah, I mean, like Austria was his best race as well. I think he had, and I think maybe Hungary as well. He had a pretty good outing, but I'd like to see some more consistency from him. And just with Audi being a new engine manufacturer, maybe not a new team, I think I'm going to take a wait and see approach. And I think a lot of F1 fantasy managers are also doing that. But if you see something on Friday and you have a gut feeling about Gabriel Bortoletto, you could go flying. I don't see a lot of teams with him in it.
Yeah, I'm contemplating that. There's like one team I have set up so I can switch out one of those drivers. Actually, let me see which one is that. Let me just have a look here. I think it was one of these, which I've got a little bit of budget. If I can see, I think Bortoleto is like very underutilized. He's got, oh, actually, look, 23% of teams have got him in there. Huh. That's
Okay.
a bit. That's a
I
bit
think
more
when
than.
I made my team, he was in the autofill team, so I wonder if that's like a little.
Okay, yeah, that might be it. Yeah. So I think he's a little. I agree
Who
with
is
you on him.
who's underrated for you, Quinnan?
Ooh, I was gonna say Bortoleto as well, but just to be a bit different, I think I think Lawson could be a good shout.
Ooh,
Like
interesting.
didn't have the best season last year, but I think just having that stability in his seat, just a bit more stable, and also the feeling like, oh, I've got a rookie as my teammate now, that might just give him a bit of a confidence boost that he might need. And if the Red Bull power unit is as good as it seems to be, I think he could be underrated. Might be a bit of a hot take, but yeah, we ball. Now, quick fire questions for you.
Okay.
Autopilot or no negative for this weekend?
For this weekend, autopilot is preferred. I think I might play it just because if it's Leclerc Antonelli, I don't know. If it's really close in the data, it'll be. I think autopilot has a good chance of getting activated in my team. How about you?
Yeah. Same. I was just playing around with. I actually just posted a video like just before this. We started recording now about autopilot versus no negative, and autopilot on one of my teams gives me about a 10-point swing upwards. F1 Fantasy Tools got that new autopilot chip on there
Yeah.
as well. That is like super useful. So team one, it's like 9 points, and there's only like a 41% probability of it being activated because I've got Russell and Antonelli in team one. But team two seems to be a bit more. We've got Verstappen and Antonelli in the lineup, so that might be a bit of a better play.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
No negative though gives me about a 22% bump in possible simulated points on my team 3. It goes from like 175 all the way to 220 points. So
Wow.
I'm just gonna look at free practice, see what's going on. So I might play it in one of the first 2 rounds. So, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe no negative in China, just based on the wear and tear of these cars, these brand new cars, and only one practice session to get them set up. I'm just wondering if China is a little bit chaotic and it's like, we can wait around for wet weather, but like whatever, and maybe it'll be a better play later. But my gut is kind of telling me China for no negative, so we'll see how it feel this time next week.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And how about wildcard? Early or late in the season?
I think it's going to swing. It's going to be team dependent, but if you are in trouble after Australia, just activate it. Don't worry about it too much. But if you get out of Australia scot-free, I would try to wait. Maybe we get some updates from a Williams or an Aston Martin, and all of a sudden you want all 3 of their assets in your team and you don't have those transfers, or you have to make a lot of sacrifices. The wild card will save you. So I'd love to save the wild card for later in the season, maybe around like the summer break, if we hear some stuff, because teams are going to be bringing updates consistently this year.
Oh, big time. Let's see if anyone else has the rotisserie chicken wing coming out. It seems like Red Bull is interested
Yes,
in that,
yes.
but yeah. Now, final few questions. Ferrari or Mercedes? As if you're going for a 2A driver, 1A constructor team.
Like I said, I mean, yeah, I hate to sit on the fence so bad, but just that saving with Ferrari and the potential, if they can be within like 10 points of Mercedes, like I'll happily take that for the 5 million in savings to boost up a Perez to a Behrman and a Lindblad to an Ocon and stuff. Like I'll spread the cash around and use it that way, and I'll take the 10 points and I'll figure out a way to get to Mercedes one day, but today may not be that day.
Yeah, they're quite high premium for a reason. Yeah, but we'll see. No. Haas or V Cup?
Haas for me, because of that reliability in preseason. They did like 500 laps, or like they did a crazy like over the Bahrain test, like at least one of them, I think. So didn't see them broken down. I'm just a little bit worried that V carb is maybe going to be too much of like a development tunnel for Red Bull, and they won't be prioritized. Whereas like Haas, like they have a chance to be at the top of the midfield, and it's just
Very
I
promising
love what
pace.
Io Komatsu is doing. I love Ali Behrman. Esteban Ocon is a wily veteran at this point, and they just seem to be going in the right direction. And I think Haas is just they are well worth that 1.2 million it costs to get them extra. And just like they don't have a rookie, I think I rate Lindblad and Lawson third and fourth among those four drivers as well, probably. So that's why I would go with Haas.
Good shout. Good shout. Yeah, and I agree with that. The trajectory seems good, data seems good, and I mean Ferrari power unit seems to be quite solid as well.
Yeah.
Now, Euan, what would you say is the biggest no-no in fantasy for someone coming into their first season? What is the number one piece of advice you would give them to avoid?
If you'd asked me this question 2 weeks ago before the game launched, I would have been like, don't make early transfers. But now the game, that's not a problem. It's only kind of counting your transfers from how different your team is from 1 week to another. So that's out the window, which is actually quite handy for new users because I can imagine that could be quite confusing. But I'm taking the low-hanging fruit, and please avoid Williams and Aston Martin to begin the season. I've had a few people ask me that. They've sent me their drafts, and I'm like, I love Carlos Sainz, but I do not love Carlos Sainz as an
I would
F1 fantasy
love
asset
to
for the
put
first
him
6 or 7.
in my team.
Yes,
But it's
but
just
I
like
also want to score points, and I don't think that's going to happen with
your
an
car,
Aston Martin or a Williams asset
your
in my
car's
team.
fat. Science, fix your just
Yeah,
fix
get on the
your
treadmill,
car.
Williams. Lose some pounds. Come on.
Yeah, come on, man. Yeah, James Vowles, please don't disappoint us with the Vowles hype train. Yeah.
Oh, I know.
I was so hopeful, but then like the preseason testing was a bit of a letdown, and now still overweight. But yeah. All right, coming back from my tangent. Two premium drivers or two premium constructors? I'm seeing like a very big chasm of opinions here.
Yeah, I think it is how uncomfortable are you willing to be in China, where maybe you have Ferrari or Haas or Mercedes or Haas, that kind of thing. Like, is it going to feel really bad to have a tier B constructor? However, if Haas kill it in Australia, they'll just fly up. They won't need a lot of points in China. And also, Ollie Behrman and Esteban Ocon had really good F1 fantasy days in China last year. So, like, that's also something to think about. For me, I'm going to, as of right now, I hate saying that, but two premium drivers just offers a lot of flexibility. You get some really good assets, really strong assets, because with the two premium constructors, you get two locked in 0.6 million, barring any DNFs. I mean, Ferrari had a terrible day at the office in Australia last year, and they still had a 0.3 price rise. So that's good. You get your driver, your A-tier driver. It's all good, but you have to scrape the bottom of the barrel. You have to trust double Cadillac, Lindblad, and Colapinto.
There's like
That's
zero
a lot of
flexibility.
exposure. Yeah, it's a lot of exposure to a lot of sketchy F1 fantasy assets. And if that goes wrong, you are in a world of hurt in China if you need to get, like, you're going to have to activate the wild card if that two premium constructor build goes wrong, or you're going to be going down to a Haas anyway. So with the two premium driver build, you can kind of get out of Dodge. You could downgrade Antonelli all the way to like a Bottas, and I think you can get all the way up from Haas to Red Bull as long as it's not. I don't. Loosey goosey math is kind of my like trademark.
Loosey-goosey,
on my, yeah. So,
we
but
like
that sounds
loosey-goosey.
right in my head. So that's where I also prefer the flexibility of the two premium driver build, because then you can go anywhere and you could be absolutely flying in budget. Like last year after the Australian Grand Prix, I had 98.2 million in budget. I lost budget.
Oof,
There were
you
actually
went even
teams,
worse than me. I lost budget, but not that bad.
yeah. So there were actually people in the game who deleted their teams and started again because it was actually better for them to
I
have that
do
much more
remember
budget.
that. I remember. Yikes! Yeah. Oh man, that's a throwback.
I'm trying to avoid that. I will be happy with just 100 million after Australia this year.
As long as we don't regress, we just, it's fine. Yeah, we just want to go. Yeah, like the current team lineup I have, I think I only predicted to rise 0.4. Like, okay, that's a simulation, so it'll probably be a little bit more than that.
And
if
it is
everything goes
harder to
well.
rise this week because we don't have the 3 races of the
Exactly.
average. So this week is going to be the hardest week of the entire season for these tier B drivers to rise.
Big time. Yeah. I also like the double A tier driver setup more. Okay, the current setup I have now is like very low budget left. I think for like 0.3, 0.1, and 0. But they are all in such a position where I can pivot easily in China, or even just leave it as is. If by some miracle they all go well, hey, I can roll a free transfer to Japan, and I've got more
Yes.
flexibility there. Maybe limitless or something in Japan. I've got some.
Yeah.
That's gonna be interesting.
I was thinking about that today. Like, if I hit the autopilot, there's a non-zero chance that I go autopilot in Australia, no negative in China, and limitless in Japan. Like, and I guess that would probably mean that I've wasted my no negative chip because all my assets would still be rising, which is fine, I guess. But it would be
True
very
that.
interesting if for the first 3 races of the season, we may be looking at playing 3 chips. And I think that would make F1 fantasy managers uncomfortable to do something like that because we only get 6 chips in a season. But if you nail those chips,
Man, it's gonna be hard to
what
get
does
back
it
to
matter
you.
if you play it in the first race or the last race? Like, it doesn't matter as long as you come out on top.
I still think we should bring back like you have a set of chips before the summer break and another set after summer break. That I really like.
I did enjoy that.
And what's
But then
nice
you're
is-
looking at playing a chip every 2 weeks. If
That's
you had
true, though.
12 chips, so that's kind of a lot.
Yeah, and then you would play them non-optimally. Yeah, that's a good point as well. That's a
Because I
good
kind of
point.
think like I think I would be happy with like 2 no negatives,
Big time.
and and you could just get rid of a final fix. I don't care. I'm the autopilot. Actually, just give me 4 no negatives, wild card, and limitless, and I'm fine. That's okay. So
Yeah, I like the
Might need
four
it
no
this season.
negatives. Yeah, that's good.
might need
That's
it
good.
this season. So.
Yeah. What is the thing you're looking for most in practice? Is there a specific team you want to keep an eye on in practice?
I want to make sure that Haas is at least a little competitive in qualifying. Because last year in their preseason, they pretty much only did long runs, and it did kind of come back to bite them in Australia qualifying. So I just want to make sure that everything looks okay in Haas. I'll be keeping a close eye on McLaren, to be honest. They are. It may just be that the preseason is too long, but I'm entering the part where I'm like, is McLaren a differential? I think I want to stick with works teams, not customer teams, to begin the season, and that's weird considering I'm saying triple Haas is an option. But I mean, you're gonna have some customer teams in your lineups, likely. But that will be interesting. Max Verstappen, I'll be keeping an eye on him. And I think if I can get, let me see if I can find the post I had earlier today, because I was talking about how Albert Park, 22nd for overtakes. So in 2022, Leclerc topped FP2, got pole, and won the race. In 2023, Alonso topped FP2 and finished third in the race. 2024, Leclerc and Sainz were both in the top 3 after FP2, and they went 1-2 in the race. And then in 2025, it was Leclerc, Piastri, Norris, Verstappen, Russell was 1-2-3, but we know that Piastri kind of like spun out and he would have been second.
Yeah,
there.
but he
So
would have. Yeah,
to begin the year, I think FP2 is going to be quite important. It's got the quali sims at a track where overtakes are really hard to come by. So I'll be watching those FP2 quali runs very closely. I think I'm actually going to wake up like at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning to actually watch it live. So like
Yeah,
I want to see it. I want to see with my eyes. I don't want to read it in a report or the 8-minute highlights on
yeah, you can.
F1.com afterwards.
You want to see like like how squirrely are the cars. You know, you're not just. You might miss a little detail or something. When is the
Yeah,
second
I want to listen to the
practice?
commentators. I want to listen to like Alex Jakes and stuff. Be like, oh well, Verstappen was zero point 0.1 off, but he had that like big snap at turn 3, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Like, ooh, this is
so he's
spicy.
still that close even with a mistake. So I'll be looking at FP2 like laser focused.
Yeah, for me it's like 7 to 8 a.m. Okay, perfect. That's perfect. I can like just wake up just before that and get my coffee in hand and laser focus. Like this is probably one of the most important practice sessions we're gonna have in a long
I'm
time.
probably going to say that about 24 times. This is the most important practice session of the season. But for now, it's right because it's the only one we have.
Exactly. There's like we need the data. We cannot just rely on the good luck. Yeah, I'm very curious to see McLaren because they've been like suspiciously quiet throughout testing and like I mean like Mercedes. I think they just did a masterclass in like rage baiting everybody with the 18:1 compression ratio thing.
Yes.
But like McLaren's very suspiciously quiet. You think they are actually that slow, or do they have the sandbags piled on?
I don't know. I think they will be a little bit behind the 8 ball just naturally. Like they haven't had their hands on this power unit since day one, like Mercedes and Red Bull and Ferrari have had. However, I don't think there's been a better team over the last 3 seasons at bringing updates to a car than McLaren. While they may not be a popular option come 5 a.m. my time on Saturday morning for F1 fantasy teams, when they bring an update, we're going to have to pay attention. And so I swear I heard earlier in the offseason that Rob Marshall and Andrea Sales said they were not bringing upgrades. After Barcelona, they were not going to bring upgrades. But then I think there was a report from Motorsport that said they are going to bring upgrades. So maybe they've seen something. They're going to bring those upgrades to Australia. And if they are on it, like I said,
Yeah,
Triple Haas, it's gonna be DEFCON 1 again. We're going to be like tearing up all our drafts and just throwing it all over the place. And
X is gonna explode because like right now you said we're speculating based off of very curated data we've got from the teams in practice in preseason testing. I mean, because especially Mercedes, if you look at the race simulations, like they were like I think they were like 8th or 7th fastest in the race pace simulations, but
Pierre
McLaren?
Gasly already came out last week and said that he's been told that Mercedes is bringing something to Australia for the power unit. So if they're bringing it for all of them, that includes Williams, Alpine, McLaren, and Mercedes. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see Alpine with the new spec power unit. So, yeah, like you said, laser focus in the free practice sessions. I'm definitely not waking up for practice one. That's 3:30 in the morning. Thank you, but
Yeah, I'll watch that. I'll watch that on my lunch break. So
yeah, that's it.
whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Awesome stuff. And any last thoughts on team selection tips? Any differential plays you are considering you haven't mentioned already on X? Can you give us a little insider info?
No, I don't really have anything. Honestly, with it being 22 drivers and 11 teams, I think the only 2 assets that I have not, or there's 3 assets I have not looked at outside of Aston Martin and Williams. I'm not counting them.
No, that doesn't count.
And that would
for sure.
be Cadillac as a constructor, Sergio Perez as a driver. And honestly, I don't think I had that one tweet, I think, on Monday that was like, oh, I kind of like this lineup, but I'm really not considering Isaac Hadjar at all.
That price point is just so awkward. Like he
So
really
awkward.
needs to impress for me to consider putting him. Like, there was a lineup I had with like Antonelli, Hadjar, but it just wasn't like clicking for me. Yeah, he will
And
need to.
he is, outside of Arvid Lindblad, the only driver to not complete a lap on this course because he did not start it last season. So, Like things can only get better for
about-
Isaac. He's one of my favorite drivers in the grid, and I'd love to have him in my F1 fantasy team at some point this season. But for
Yes.
Australia, first race in the Red Bull. What are we looking at? P8, P7 at best. I think he needs 19 points to rise. That seems like a lot, and
That's a lot.
I'm just not going to go there.
No, it's not worth the risk unless you really want to go differential and know something about a DNF prediction or something.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like you can't win F1 fantasy in your first week, but you can hurt yourself a lot. And I just feel like Isaac Hadjar, Cadillac, is one of those picks. And when it comes to Perez versus Bottas, like I don't really have a lot of interest in either of them, but Bottas has that 5-place grid penalty. He's going to be starting 22nd because they're not getting out of Q1.
No.
And if all these rumors about Aston Martin doing the formation lap and then parking it in the garage to prepare for China are true, that's 2 free points for Valtteri Bottas, and that's fine by me. So that's why I would pick Bottas over Perez.
Yeah, it's true. That would just be positions gained, not overtakes made. Yeah, so
the ideal scenario is he overtakes them on the first lap while they're pulling into the garage. But yes, that would be great.
That's it. Yeah. Hopefully he overtakes them, and then a lap later they just like pull off into the pits.
He has that Ferrari power unit in the back that has the smaller turbo that's giving them a boost off the line. I'm not smart enough about the technical side to really understand it all, but yeah, if Bottas can get 2 or 3 places on the first lap, like that's great, and then just back off, get lapped. I don't care. But
you go up in price, we're good. Yeah, I think he needs to. I think it's like 0.9 points per million you need to score to go up.
To go up 0.2, yeah. So he probably needs 5 points.
So he's 5.9 million at the moment, so it's 5.3 points, so 6 points for him to go up.
Okay, there we go. That was some good. You're not very loosey goosey. You're not loosey goosey math. You're like spot on maths. That I can't have you on there one upping me like that. That's a great job.
I just have the calculator open. I did this calculation earlier and I had it like open ready. So
6 points is what F1FantasyTools.com is saying. Their budget builder. So
6 points.
Yeah, because it has to be like a whole point to go above 5.3. So
yeah. Unless Fantasy wants to change that, like partial overtakes made or something.
Do not put that out in the universe. The math is already loosey and goosey. I don't think anyone on my channel that watches me could handle me trying to calculate decimal places. Goodness gracious.
Oof. Let's keep it at integers. That's
fine by me.
Stress in the world as it is. Awesome. Perfect. Well, do you want to sign this video off for us, shouting out your social media? Where can people find you, get in touch with you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I want to say thank you to you, Quinton, for having me on. Like, you've been crushing it. Joining. Great to have another voice in the F1 Fantasy community. Like, really enjoying all your content. So if you guys are watching this and you're not subscribed to this channel, you're missing out. So subscribe. Give this guy the love he deserves. And if you want to watch something after that, F1 Fantasy Pole Position. I've been doing daily videos, and I think I'm still going to do daily videos through China because there's just so much F1 fantasy content trapped in my brain that I need to get out so I can have a social life again.
Stuff out of our mind.
Yeah. I still got chip strategy guide, budget building, all that fun stuff to do. And then you can find me on, I think, almost literally everything except maybe MySpace at F1 Fantasy Euan. And that's where I tweet out all of my off-the-cuff stuff. Not as professional as the YouTube channel. Not that that's professional either, but yeah, it's been great. I've been having a great time being on your channel, Quinton, and you are doing a great job. So keep it up, and I hope to keep watching you throughout the season. No,
thank you, Euan, for being here. I've got a lot of people to look up to and try and imitate. So thanks for coming onto the channel. Hopefully we can do another one of these in the future when we've got some hot takes to share, spicy nachos and tacos to talk about or something. Maybe lament our DNFs together or something. But yeah, if you're not following him already, please go follow him on all the socials, TikTok. He hasn't done any TikTok dances yet, so maybe we can, if you follow him, enough people follow him, he can do a TikTok dance for us. I did a warming up sketch about getting mad about Drive to Survive, and people were like, "Why are you stretching?" And I was like, "Okay, I think my dancing career is over on TikTok, saw that so I don't think I'll be doing that." So, okay. If you play all 3 your chips, so autopilot, no negative, and limitless, then you need to do the dance. I think we should agree on that.
Okay. And if they all go well, then I'll do it. How about that?
Deal. Deal. Sounds good.
Okay, deal. Deal.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, Euan, and see you next time.